It is a brisk winter breeze that greets us as we find ourselves in Island City, Oregon this December morning. 2.5 miles from La Grande, we find locomotive number 4608 of the Idaho Northern and Pacific being prepared for the day's work by its crew as a light snow begins to fall. Located in the northwest corner of Oregon State in Union County, Island City lies in the valley of the Grand Ronde River. Surrounded by the Blue and Wallowa Mountains, the Grand Ronde Valley is home to a rural stretch of rails that was once Union Pacific's Joseph Branch. Today the line is home to the Idaho Northern and Pacific Railroad, who operate the southern portion of the Joseph Branch, from Union Pacific's yard in La Grande, north 21 miles to Elgin. Timber and agriculture products produce the bulk of the line's revenue-earning traffic, with large mills and transloads located up and down the branch. From La Grande, Highway 82 follows the line closely to Elgin, giving us many vantage points of the I&P's operations as we will pass through the towns of Island City, Aliceville, and Imbler on the way. The Joseph Branch was originally built by the Oregon Railway Extensions Company, incorporated in 1888 as a subsidy of the Oregon Railway Navigation Company. The first section to Elgin was completed in 1890, pushing through to the towns of Wallowa and Enterprise in 1905, where the line would reach its total length of 84 miles in the small town of Joseph. Now returning to our crew, number 4608 is suitably warmed up, and the crew will now make their way south to La Grande, beginning the day's work. As they make their way southward, we catch the power as it runs light along Island Avenue. The train will run alongside this main road until it reaches the Union Pacific's main line in La Grande, where the conductor will jump off and throw the switch so that the crew can enter the yard. Having now entered Union Pacific's yard, today's crew will make their way to a group of sidings on the far west side of the complex, where the crew's first task is to pick up the cars to be delivered on today's run. The yard sits next to the UP's La Grande sub, stretching from Hinkle, Oregon in the west to Napa, Idaho in the east. Here in La Grande, UP keeps their offices in the 1930-era depot standing opposite the yard, complete with carved stone reliefs. Being a key operational and crew change point, La Grande also hosts manned helper operations to get heavy trains over the steep Blue Mountain grades west of La Grande. Though it has been over 20 years since passenger trains have served La Grande's impressive station, it still stands watch over the daily freight traffic, including that of the I&P, currently switching in the yard. The sidings used by the Idaho Northern are leased from the Union Pacific, and counting up from the main line, tracks 5 and 6 are used for transfers with the UP, with tracks 9 upwards used by the I&P to store empty cars, as well as a collection of company rolling stock, such as these locomotives, seen here in the Idaho Northern's previous green and cream paint scheme. Today, the crew are picking up 5 boxcars to deliver, and after setting these out on track 9, they will run around them before heading up the branch proper. Now well on their way, 4608 is once again paralleling Island Avenue on its way back to Island City. This time we catch them on the opposite side of Island Avenue. The Idaho Northern gives a roster of first and second generation EMD power, with much of that power, as seen in the Grand, currently in storage or used for parts to maintain the current operational roster of GP9 rebuilds like our power for today. Most were built new for the Grand Trunk Western Railroad, with 4608 actually being built for the Central Vermont Railway in 1957, later being acquired by the G2W. Now back in Island City, the train crosses over Highway 82, having just passed the I&P's yard to the left of the branch where we begin our film. Now back in Island City, the train crosses over Highway 82, having just passed the I&P's yard to the left of the main where we started our film. Consequently, Island City was actually an island formed by the Grand Ronde River and an adjacent slough. The slough was later diverted, negating the town's name to one of heritage rather than its current reality. Just north of Island City is Baum Siding, along with two customers of the I&P. Hexion, who produce a range of resins and related products, and Wood Grain Composites, who produce particle board. On today's run, the crew's first stop is at Wood Grain Composites, where they have picked up 5 loads and will drop off 4 of the empty boxcars they brought from the Grand. Founded in 1966 under Boise Cascade, this facility was acquired in 2018 by Wood Grain Composites and is a regular shipper on the line. With cars now spotted, the conductor realigns the switch and waits for the engineer to pull forward so he can add the all-important red flag on the rear coupler of the train, showing that the train is complete. As the train continues northeast, we can just make out Baum Siding behind 4608. Normally, cars picked up on the way from the Grand are tied down here, with the crew continuing only with cars to be delivered to customers further up the line in Aliceville, Embler, and Elgin. They will then be picked up on the return, or inbound, journey when the crew stops here to sort cars out bound for transfer to the Union Pacific into both east and westbound blocks. Today, no cars are tied down, as all the cars being picked up today are going eastward, so the crew will continue with them, saving them time on the return run. At Sandridge Road, the line completes a long northward curve as Highway 82 continues to parallel the right-of-way. There is a short grade here as 4608 makes the climb past the grade crossing and through a location once known as Conley. Now no longer marked, a station and warehouse once stood here, with only the foundations of the latter remaining, of which we are standing on for this shot. There is a good layer of snow on the ground as 4608 approaches the small community of Aliceville. The town is named for the wife of Charles Ladd, Alice, who was a resident at the time of the locality's formation in 1890. There was once a small depot here, served by the Union Pacific, and a post office that lasted until 1972. The railroad still has an active customer here, with a long-standing grain elevator. Now owned by United Grain, this remains an important transload facility for the farmers in the region. The older concrete structure was once the subject of world-renowned photographer Minor White, whose work divided critics but gives us a unique image of Union Pacific number 757 heading south through Aliceville with a work train in 1941. Today our train passes through Aliceville with no cars needed for the elevator. However, when the harvest time arrives, hundreds of hoppers will pass through here, making it one of the busiest customers on the line. Now on the southern outskirts of Imbler, we catch a company high rail inspecting the track. As 4608 closes in, the high rail makes a hasty retreat back to Imbler to clear the line for the train. Having skipped Imbler, we are now on the north side of the town, where located is the longest bridge on the Idaho northern section of the branch. Crossing over Willow Creek, 4608 will soon arrive in Elgin. Now the snow is steadily falling as we find the crew switching in the south end of Elgin. They are backing into a spur used to store empties for the Boise Cascade Mill west of the town. Having tied down their train in the siding just to the south, the crew will take the empty boxcars and reverse into the mill complex to switch the empties out for loads bound for La Grande. Settled in the early 1860s, Elgin was a trading post home to many trappers and boasting at one point 35 lumber mills. The main access to the town was by the Grand Ronde River and the mountain trails until the railroad arrived, opening up this area to the world at large. Today, Elgin marks the limits of the I&P's Joseph Branch operations, but this was not always the case. Though traffic from the various mills was constant, Union Pacific had decided to sell off the line, with the Rio Grande Pacific Corporation acquiring the 63-mile section from Elgin to Joseph in 1992, along with lines in Idaho as part of a package deal. The Idaho and Northern Pacific Railroad was then formed to operate all these lines. A few years later, the I&P filed for abandonment of the line in 1997, and buying outright the remaining 21 miles of the line from Elgin to LeGrand, which they had been leasing from the Union Pacific as part of the original purchase. In 2003, however, the abandoned section of the line beyond Elgin was purchased jointly through the Wallowa and Union counties, who subsequently formed the Wallowa Union Railroad to operate the line as a tourist attraction. Currently, they only operate to Minam, but there is a push to reopen the line completely to Joseph once again. We will explore the operations of the Wallowa Union Railroad in a future production, but for now we will rejoin the I&P's crew who have finished their switching duties and are well on their way back to LeGrand. South of Elgin, we find 4608 as it clings to the edge of the Grand Ronde River. Its train will soon go under Highway 82 as it enters a scenic canyon carved out by the Grand Ronde River. Having raced to the southern end of the river canyon, the crew was too quick for us and beat us there. We were only able to catch 4608 as it rolls south from atop the Reinhardt Bridge that was part of the original Highway 82 alignment before its present-day diversion. The sun finally breaks through the clouds as we wait in Imbler for the southbound train to pass through. There is one main customer served here, being Blue Mountain Seeds, providing seeds for farmers of the Grand Ronde and Wallowa valleys. Occupying the east side of the track is their direct competitor, Oregon Trail Seeds. Passing between them, 4608 quietly rolls through the small town of 300 people. Now south of Aliceville, you would think it was a different day with this morning's layer of snow now absent in our view. The clouds are darkening again though as our train continues its southward journey, no doubt to deliver more snow. not long left till journey's end. We are at Booth Lane, just south from Conley, where we were at earlier. Here there is a wide-angle view as we watch 4608 coast down the grade, keeping ahead of the storm closing in from behind. The bright sun and dark skies do their part to make 4608's paint stand out as it rounds the curve. Found at Booth Lane. Just south from Conley, where we were before, we watch as 4608 coasts down the grade past the location, keeping ahead of the storm closing in from behind. We will end this film here, next to Island Avenue, just before it hits Highway 84. The crew is only a couple miles from La Grande, where they will finish the day's duties before heading back to Island City to tie down and head home before the snow hits hard tonight. We hope that you have enjoyed this look at the Idaho Northern and Pacific's railroad operations on the historic Joseph Branch. Be sure to subscribe for new upcoming content, and from all of us at Sidetracked, thank you.